Okay. So I couldn't use my usual room because I'm staining um, some wood things in here, and the fumes got a little overwhelming. So I'm in a different room today. Um, so let's see. Just as a update or whatever, um, yesterday and today I felt uncomfortable physically, which is a symptom I get with mixed um, states. Thank you. Um, it's weird because I know it's a mixed state symptom. Um, because I only experience it when I'm having other mixed state symptoms. So it's not really bad, but it's still annoying. It feels like my clothes are just how they're touching my skin and how my body feels when I am in certain positions. And I mean, it's really a strange kind of symptom, but it makes me feel agitated when I am uncomfortable that way. Um, my only solution is putting my pajamas and going to bed, taking a bath. I always take a bath before bed. So anyway, so yeah, it's my birthday today. Um, I didn't do anything special. The only thing I didn't um usually no matter how old you are, you get a cake and ice cream. But I didn't want that because there's only two people, and you get a whole cake. That's like a week's worth of cake. And I didn't want to be eating cake for a week. Um because I'm trying to watch my cholesterol. And but I did eat I did eat fast food as like a birthday present. um and I don't like this birthday because um it's like your everything after this is downhill. Um, People don't really know how old I am. Usually, by appearance wise, usually I get like, no, really? Kind of thing. And I've gotten it all my life, so I'm used to it. But um, today I turn 50. And it's freaky because I don't feel like I've been here that long. Now, part of that could have to do with the fact that when I had ECT, way back when, in the 2000s. Um, it erased quite a bit of my childhood memories. Um, I have, um, a lot of my memories are from other people, like stories they've told me or a picture I've seen. I do have some they're kind of vague memories. And anyway, I don't feel like I've been alive for that long. It's a really weird feeling. And so if I feel like I haven't been alive that long and I'm already going downhill now, like at midnight, I'm starting my downhill. Um, it's just weird how I was, I don't like time and it's freaking me out. Um, Time is a cruel, cruel mistress. Um, every day is, we assume we're supposed to have these careers or families, or we're supposed to have these things by this age. And we work like a hamster in a wheel just keeping things going, and before you know it, a week's gone by, the weekend's over, a month, a year, um, and you've done nothing but work. And when I say work, I don't mean just like going to your job. When you're done with your job, you have to come home and take care of your kids, if you have kids. And you know worrying, to me, worrying is work, because it has the same tires you out and wastes time. And I'm like, these like hippie-ish people, free spirits and stuff, and they're gonna go, I mean, it's not safe to go hitchhiking, but I'm just using that as an idea. Those people who like have all their belongings in a backpack so that each little thing is important, either as in useful or sentiment. Um, and they're just like going to see the scenery, you know, um, and looking at the beauty of the world, and um, meeting people fleetingly. Um, and you may not know where your next meal's coming from, but to me, I mean, I could never do it, but to me, I mean, that person has lived more than the person who has lived stationary, spinning in a wheel. And I get a sense of that when I go for walks. I'm kind of weird. I've done this since I was a kid, and I don't know if, let me know if you do it too, please. Um, I'm not a peeping Tom by any means. I mean, I don't creep up to people's houses, but when I'm walking, I'm watching people. I am people watching. There is nothing more satisfying than watching people, and airports now suck because you can't see the people. They're hidden and separated. But anyway, um, yeah, there was a time when me and my friends, when we were teenagers, we would just go hang out at the airport with our punk rock hair and stuff. That wouldn't happen. But anyway, I walk and I like to walk at night. Um, I may or may not have a dog with me. Now with Finnegan, I like to take him with me whenever I go because every moment's a teaching moment. And I look in the windows. Like I said, I don't creep up and look in. But I'm like looking at, is there TV on? Are they at the table? Is somebody at the sink washing dishes? You know, and I feel like I'm watching the scenery of wherever I'm living. Like that's my scenery. And what's weird is those people are in those little houses individually doing their busy stuff. You know, they're doing their, I get up in the morning, go to work, come home, make dinner, feed the kids, you know, they're all on their wheels in their houses. And you walk down a street, and each house has the wheel, their own separate wheels. So in that moment, you're walking down the street, you are not in a wheel. I would like to, I prefer, I do go hike on hikes, like actual in the woods. If I get lost, I'm really lost. I don't have a signal in our state park. Um, I do enjoy doing that. I get a little panicky when, you know, they have the little colored flags so you can keep on the trail. But there are a couple of their trails where it's the trail's kind of vague, you know, and I get a little bit nervous, especially if it's a cooler, like it gets cool at night. My brain will automatically jump to you're gonna be here all night and freeze to death. Um, but I actually prefer walking in um, a big tight suburb or a small town like where I live because I can see the people doing their stuff. During the day is okay too. Um, but people are at work and they're not doing much unless it's a Saturday or Sunday. They're just mowing lawns and a bunch of kids out. I hate walking on the walking path in the like park that's around the high school. It is so boring. You see the same thing over and over and over every time you walk on the path. So I prefer to walk in town and up and down the suburb type streets. For a while, I lived a little bit further rural, and that was nice because I made friends with a donkey on my road. And so I would take candy and apples and stuff and give him those. Um, my my walking has been curtailed, unfortunately, by I used to be able to walk in any kind of weather. We're not going to go there, molester. My goodness. Um, I used to be able to walk in freezing cold and super heat, and since, I hold on, I had to report that one. Um, I can I'm assuming because of the Lithobid and the Seroquel and age, I can no longer tolerate heat very well, and I live where there's a high humidity level in the summer. I'm also less tolerant of the cold, and so I found a community center that has a walking path, which I'm always desperate to get on, but I can't now because of COVID. Um, but it was still boring as heck going in a circle for I mean, who wants to go in a circle for half an hour? Um, but it's better than nothing. It is better than nothing. Um, so anyway, don't really know um why I'm even talking about walking. Um, if I can't walk, I usually take the dogs for a ride in the car because it's important to get out of the house. Um, and con- yeah, nighttime walks are awesome. I mean, it's it's really hard to explain the nighttime walk. It's I I don't know how to explain it, but it's very soothing. I think the daytime walk is more invigorating, and a nighttime walk is more, for me, I get more of a mellow result, especially if it's, a decent warm evening, night. Um, and I before I was on lithium, and I would have manic episodes really bad. I like my first super bad one, yeah, so my super worst bad manic episode, I didn't sleep for it was a little it turned into mixed, but it started out manic, and I did not sleep, and I'm not lying, and I'm not exaggerating. I did not sleep for 2 weeks. Um, and each day I got more and more I got further and further away from reality, and I got darker and darker. And, I was just so desperate. There was just something horrible about the entire world, at least that's what it feels like. The entire world is asleep except for you. Everybody else is getting their rest, and you're on day 5, 6, 7. Um, you start to just I would do anything for, like, just a couple hours. "Please, brain, stop." Um, and I was walking around like, in the middle of the night in my pajamas just because I just couldn't lay there anymore with my eyes open, and it I had to, like, have some movement to match my brain activity, I guess, or it at least felt better when I did that. Um, that is a that was a most horrible experience. That was dreadful. Mania is all fun and stuff, but I don't know. I mean, there's a point where the insomnia is no longer enjoyable, and there's nothing you can do about it to sleep. And so anytime I have one night where I have trouble staying asleep or falling asleep, I panic. I think that's only happened to me that much. Yeah. Um, I have a whole vinyl collection, um, that I bought in a matter of 2 to 3 months during a hypomanic manic phase. I had gotten $10,000, um, from disability because I didn't work the year before at all, and they grandfathered it in, and so they gave me this $10,000, and I spent it on, records, vinyl records, and, like, if I would see, um, like, there was this band and they had put out these 45s, and some vinyl is colored, and somehow, some way, they had out I would find, like, variations on the cover, or the vinyl was a different color, and I it's the same songs, the exact same songs, but I had to have every one. You know, if it was a different color, I had to have it. I still have it, and I don't know, I have these records that I I never got that far. I never got as far as doing something like that. Um, I I tend to be more of an internal manic. Um, I don't gamble, never gambled. Um, I would flirt more, but I would not go any further than that. Um, but I would make some bad decisions and impulsive decisions. Um, but I think my one of my big things is I would write, like, all day, all night, and it would turn into complete nonsense. Just be craziness on the paper, and it had to be the exact same paper with the exact same pencil, or like it was some magical combination. And then I start getting the delusions of, that I'm super intelligent and I'm way beyond everybody else that's around me. I have such a high intellect that everyone is below me, and I can pull the wool over everyone's eyes and do things that I, that are you shouldn't do. And Um, uh, and I would, actually literally, like, giggle at people because I was laughing at them because I believe they were so, um, intellectually and, like, I had some like, I had a special kind of intellect. It was, um, like a special power, a special kind of intellect that was just so far beyond, and only a handful of people in the entire world would understand the things I could understand. But I wouldn't talk to people about it. I would just think it and sorta giggle at people like, "Oh, you are just you'd never understand, you know. You're so beneath me." And I thought I could get away with anything. And so I would do things that were no-nos, not because I wanted, like, steal something, not because I wanted the thing, but because I knew I was so smart that I wouldn't get caught because I was special and beneath, and I'm allowed to steal because, um, because I am special. So, I it was crazy, and, um, and then I started having the false memories. Yeah, luckily, I know that sometimes some people make, um, bad decisions during mania about drug use or alcohol use. Fortunately for me, I have never, enjoyed the effects of alcohol or any drugs that I've tried, because I feel like I'm out of control of myself, so I don't like it, and when I'm manic, I'm I feel like it might dumb down my super intellect. So and I'm so high, I don't need drugs. Um, so I would write, and be certain that I had a this that it was gonna change the world book and poetry that nobody else would get, but I still think it was pretty good. I mean, I would have a point at Hypomania where I did do a really good job at writing and poetry and things like that, and then as you slip into mania, it just turns into chaos, and then when you start adding psychosis into it, because by then I was staying up writing paper everywhere till 4 or 5 in the morning and sleeping till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Um, this was a time when I was sleeping. This is not the time I didn't sleep. That was just torture. I was having a really good time with this writing one. And then, but what happened was my stories became real in my head. Like they were memories, but some of these things never happened, and I don't know how many of them did and how many didn't. I mean, some are obvious that they did not, but some could or couldn't have. So I have to question every memory I ever have and, um, and just accept the fact that I'll never know. Um, and it would just get more and more outrageous, the memory. And so I remember okay, so this is serious. This is bad. So I got to the last part of my book, and my what were had turned into memories that were resurfacing, but they were actually false. I remembered that my friend from when I was a teenager killed herself in front of me by shooting herself. This did not happen. And we had had a pact, and I was supposed to kill myself too, and I didn't. And I had never fulfilled my part of the bargain, and that's why my life sucked. And she was on the other side waiting for me, and I would be happy and be with her if I fulfilled. And this is all in my head. I'm not saying this to anybody. So it was just by freak accident that it was discovered I was thinking this, because I was ready to go through with it, thinking that was real. So delusions are dangerous when when they go that far. And it went as far as this. I had this pin. This is like brooch from when I was a teenager. It was shaped in a bat. And it was shaped in a bat because I was a punk rocker, death rocker. And on the back, there were 3 numbers on it, 141. And my brain made this psychotic um, connection in that she had one just like it, but hers said 191, 411, 911. Numbers get weird when you get psychotic. And that was our secret code to each other. And we didn't want to do 411 or 911 because we weren't supposed to be communicating, and we wanted to keep it secret. And the creepy thing is hold on. I have it. I don't know if you can see because it's just scratched in. I'll try it. See, there's a 141 on there. I keep it for a reason. I keep it to remind myself that we're not going there again. We are not going there again, because when I went to the hospital, the nurses were laughing at me because I was just high as a kite, and I had to be heavily medicated. I had an outburst. I was like, well, they did a stupid thing to me in the ER. They they put me in a room and then locked the doors. You don't do that to a manic person. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't going anywhere. And um for some reason I smoke when I'm in the hospital. I just pick it up and put it down. Um and I wanted a cigarette. And I went to go out the door, and it was locked. And I lost my shit because I was manic in this tiny room. And I'm like, no, you cannot, that's bad. Don't do that. And they're all like, oh, she's escalating. I'm like, no, I just want to go have a cigarette. So I had to go with a security guard. So I go in and get heavily medicated. and slowly come out of delusion land, and the embarrassment I felt was palpable. It was just, it was I felt awful, and, um, I I was very sensitive about what people said after. I think my eyelids are getting heavy. That's just because I took my medication at 10:30. So if I look a little high, that's why. Um, I was very sensitive about certain words, like the word crazy. I was very sensitive. I went to an outpatient, like, day hospital. It was a joke. They just tried to keep people in the day hospital, and they just, like, rotated them from the hospital to the day hospital. I'm like, "This is a scam. I think I'm leaving now." But, someone had made the comment about being crazy, and I did not like that, and I'm like, "I don't know about you, but I'm not crazy. I have bipolar disorder, and I had psychosis, but I'm not crazy, and don't lump me into that word." Um, I I'm not not as sensitive, um, but I do take issue because, um because I want things like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, um, anxiety disorders to be treated equally to other medical disorders. It like, if you have MS, you're gonna go to a neurologist, a specialist. He's still a medical person, a medical doctor who specializes in neurology, and they're probably gonna have you go to physical therapy. Now, how different is that than for us to go to our general practitioner who sends us to a psychiatrist who says you also need to be doing, like cognitive behavioral therapy? That's no different. It's the same thing. It's just a different part of the body. And so I do take issue with certain terms because they're used in a way that belittles what we're going through, and it makes it small, and it's not small to us. It's not small at all. You have to struggle to live a life just like everybody else, and then you have this other really sucky thing. It is. People die all the time. I have almost died twice, 3 times. I have almost died 3 times, and I would not have had those close calls if I did not have bipolar disorder and social anxiety. It is. It is a deadly disease. Um, the all of the OCD and schizophrenia, all of them are. And people were like, "Oh, I can die from my," I'm like, "Okay, well, let me tell you about the story where, like I said, I just told you I almost gladly, um, fulfilled my, mm, diluted part of the bargain to be with my friend, and there were guns in that house. My stepdad is a was a gun freak, they're divorced now. All I had to do is walk into the other room and get one, and I was, like, ready to do it, and I said the next day, I had a therapy appointment, and I just happened to say something fishy to her, and she caught on that maybe we need to talk to my mom. When I was a teenager, my brain I was really depressed. I was upset because we moved. Didn't have any friends, and I had a mood disorder, undiagnosed mood disorder, and I was depressed. And my brain said, "You will be happy if you die. You won't feel this pain if you die. That's all. That's easy. It's easy." I'm like, "Oh, oh, okay." And so I took a bunch of pills, and a friend called who it was weird because she was like, I talked to you and you just didn't seem okay. And yeah, and I was like, well, yeah, and I'm like talking to her like I'm like, "No, no, don't be upset because I'm finally going to be happy. You should be happy for me. I found the solution." And she called my parents and I ended up in the hospital for the first time. Um and then the third time was later, and I had gone back to work I when I was still nursing, and I was off work for a while because of my bipolar disorder, and then I worked a little while at Walmart just to get back into the swing of working, but I cried every day. And then I, um I then got a job as a nurse in a hospital, and I probably never it was just too much stress really for me, um, for my brain. It wasn't that I couldn't hack it. I knew what I was doing and I did a really good job, but it wasn't good for my brain. And I got really stressed out to the point where I would have panic attacks going to work. And I had my own apartment and 2 cats, and so I had to work to s to keep my independence, but I didn't feel like I could work, and I was making bad decisions to cope, and I finally just felt trapped. I had literally felt trapped, and I had wanted out of that trap. And so I took a bunch of pills that was Topamax, I believe, and that can affect your heart rhythm. And so I took a bunch of that, and I realized, well, this time I really don't want to die. So I called my mom and told her, and I had to be in ICU for 2 or 3 days to have my heart monitored. Um, so exactly. Um, it is deadly, and And a big reason why it's deadly is because people don't get the care they need. They don't get the medication they need. They don't get the therapy they need. Like my therapist caught on to my thinking things that were not um I mean, I think it's okay for, like, if you're talking to another person that has bipolar disorder and they're not having too hard a time, I mean, it's okay for you to crack a bipolar joke now and again, but for outsiders to say stuff that downplays and minimizes, then I really get upset. Yeah. Yeah, I have, one day I'm gonna talk about my brother. The Too Far Gone is probably a good example of my brother. Um, I had one brother when he was 15, he committed suicide. Um, he's not related to me by blood. He's a lot younger than me. I have a weird family tree, but a brother that I was close to was just a few years younger than me, and I helped take care of him in the end. Um, Talking about that's really emotional, and I'm gonna get to it eventually. But they said he had bipolar as well. My mom's side of the family, we share a mother. Um, there's uh some anxiety disorders, and her brother had this is way back when, so who knows what he really had, um, but he died young for accident, and, I mean, I just don't understand that people blow off, uh I don't even like the word mental illness. The mental part bothers me. It still comes out of my mouth sometimes because that's just what people say for so long, but I prefer psychiatric disorder because it's more like, well, I have a neurological disorder or a endocrine disorder, endocrinological disorder, gastrointestinal disorder. Well, I have a psychiatric disorder. It's just a different part of the body. But let's see. Um, I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, um, came on one again. Deadly disorder. Oh, yeah. Um, uh, you can look at like a PET scan and you can see a normal brain and all the reds and blues and greens and compare it to a manic brain and a depressed brain, and you can see the difference. So you can't tell me, that there is not something physically happening to me. And it doesn't end just here. I feel the effects all over my body. Like I said, when I'm irritable, I have this weird my clothes feel my skin must be like hypersensitive or something weird. um, it's it my when I am feeling healthy, bipolar wise, anxiety wise, my gastrointestinal issues are not a problem. You know, it so so I just don't understand why it's separate. And I've started saying, separation, because they separate it, your insurance and even, like your general practitioner and stuff, they separate it. You're going here, but you're going over there where the mental people are. You know, it's like, um, you should just be another person that comes in that needs to see a specialist. You shouldn't have to deal with any other part of your insurance than you would if you came in and your blood sugar was high and your general practitioner sent you to an endocrinologist to deal with your diabetes. And so I have been saying that separation is discrimination, and that is true. It is very true. Um, the the quality of psychiatric hospitals or units are, a good number of them, unless I haven't been in one in a long time, so, um, but when I was doing the in and out, hold on. Come on, fix yourself. Okay. When I was doing the in and out of hospitals, there was there was this one unit at this hospital that they would send me to, and, they basically babysat you and gave you pills. Um, there was no teaching, there was no one-on-ones, there was no homework, you know, it was just smoking in the smoke room, eating, some busy work, like little, I don't know, tight, like childish handouts and um TV in the lounge. It was just babysitting. And the psychiatrist that I saw, her group, which was her family, they did psychiatry. Um, and some psychiatrists insists on the title of neuro psychiatry because neurotransmitters are real. Um, they disliked the unit so much, and it was the only one in the area, that they pulled together and built their own psychiatric facility. And then when I went there, every hour of my day was accounted for. You got out of bed, you made your bed, you got dressed, you came to group, you had your breakfast. I mean, they taught you about your um condition, your disorder, condition, illness, whatever, uh, asked you questions. I mean, they were knowledgeable. They were psych techs that were certified. You had to have on each shift a one-on-one with your nurse, and you were taught about your medication. Um, and their goal was, what are you going to do to keep from coming back here? when you leave, what things would you be doing to avoid coming back here, you know? So, um, we don't have many of those in this country. I don't know about other countries, but they should have hospitals like that all over. Um, I knew a lot already about my disorder, but I felt like these people cared to bother with me. Um, we had and then there was this woman, this older woman that came in, and I don't remember what was going on with her, but she was acting really strange, and it was getting really annoying. But I just was ignoring it or leaving the room, but, um, some of the other patients started making fun of her and stuff, and the staff were, like, right on top of it. That was not gonna fly. And, so, um, I don't think I think we're, like, last in line. I think we're last in line with, adequate health care because everybody that has a psychiatric disorder should be seeing or have seen for an extensive period of time a cognitive behavioral therapist. Um, because I did like 20 years ago, and I still use those tools today. I still, remind myself stuff. Okay, now you can't mind read. You cannot tell the future. Um, how likely is that going to happen? If it does happen, what can you do? And then, I still use those skills. Um, they're very important. Uh, let's see. Well, it's getting to be late. I stayed up extra late tonight. So I'm gonna instead of taking a bath, I'm gonna take a shower and go to bed because I'm starting to get sleepy. And my dogs are confused because they're used to me being in the other room. Okay, well, I'm gonna wish you all a good night. Night.